Welcome to MINDSHOCK. This is your host, Bruce McGuire. And today we are diving into Happy Gilmore 2. Oh man, this is going to be really tough for a lot of different reasons. We will be tackling it all in typical MINDSHOCK fashion with logic and reason at the forefront, unlike any other podcast out there. If you want to help support the podcast, you can donate to our PayPal. Check the link in the description. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel. Hit that bell for notifications. Like and share Twitter, Facebook, Reddit, Patreon. Patreon also does have a free tier, so you can still get notifications through there, because obviously YouTube does not do a good job of that. Questions, comments, theories, thoughts, suggestions, rebuttals, debunkings of any kind, leave them in the comment section. Unless, of course, you are with us here live, then drop them in the live chat. I'll try to get to all of them. And you could also help support the channel by becoming a YouTube member right here on YouTube. So, for those that didn't even know a Happy Gilmore sequel was in the works, yes, it is now completed and released. July 2025. Lord Zed in the chat talking about Satanic Temple holidays, unveiling day, July 25th. My instincts give me bad vibes from this. It came out on the Satanic Temple holiday. Okay, so yeah, I'm gonna try. There's not gonna be spoilers here, so I'm gonna do a spoiler-free review here because it is new. A lot of people haven't had time to check it out. I checked it out. I'm a pretty big fan of the first movie. Probably the only really all-around super solid Adam Sandler movie. Adam Sandler, quite the goof, particularly in recent years. I mean, he's got such a... his shtick kind of got old. I mean, I don't know by what year. I suppose, what was his last good movie? Everybody would say Big Daddy was actually half decent. Is it Big Daddy? I mean, his last 10 years have been quite cringe, for lack of a better word here. I mean, I would say he hit rock bottom with, I couldn't even get through the trailer of, let's see here, which one was this? The trailer of Jack and Jill 2011. So, yeah, this one was tough. This one was tough. So, yeah. It's kind of interesting. Katie Holmes was also in this one. I don't really remember this one too much. But I don't even remember much about the trailer, just that it was the trailer was quite unwatchable. So it's Adam's, it's really tough. It's really tough. All of the, yeah, some people believe the Illuminati satanic agenda is in full swing. So you have Adam Sandler playing his own twin sister, fraternal twin sister, and I don't know if it's humiliation ritual or whatever. But, yeah, Jack and Jill, I mean, it was definitely over by that point. Don't Mess with the Zohan was pretty bad. That was 2008. I Now Pronounce You Chuck and Larry, 2007. Pretty weak. Reign Over Me was actually pretty decent. A drama. I don't know if that was his first drama, but it's pretty decent drama. And Click was actually quite interesting. That was 2005. Longest Yard was pretty good. The Longest Yard remake, 2005, was also pretty good. A lot of people like The Wedding Singer, but I was not a fan. Waterboy, decent. So yeah, Big Daddy was probably his last, like, really solid film. Yeah, maybe Longest Yard. But Longest Yard was a remake, and it was, it was a pretty big ensemble cast. I would say Big Daddy was like textbook Sandler, the last solid Sandler movie. Waterboy was pretty solid too. Little Nicky was a noticeable step down. I mean, that was borderline unwatchable as well. So, yeah, Billy Madison and Happy Gilmore. I mean, some people believe those are his two best ones. Bulletproof wasn't that bad either. I have to rewatch that one from 96. He had a big year. 95, 96. Wedding Singer 98, Waterboy 98, Big Daddy 99. So that was kind of like the main era of the height of Sandler's popularity. And then everything kind of started to go downhill. Spanglish was actually kind of decent as well. Another drama, but it had a really good message. So back in the early 2000s when movies were still kind of decent. So it's actually kind of funny because I mentioned 2011 being the delineating year when Hollywood just went to trash. And coincidentally, that is Jack and Jill was released that year as well. That's My Boy, 2012. I mean, that was just garbage. The Grown Ups movies were pretty bad. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot. I haven't seen a lot of them. A lot of his, the past the past decade and a half. Haven't, so he plays Dracula in Dracula Raps. I mean, what kind of an Illuminati cartoon is this? Alright, anyway, so Happy Gilmore 2, I really didn't know what to expect. I did not watch any trailers or promos or anything. I never do. Lord Zed saying, I love all the movies you are saying aren't good, Bruce. Oh, man. Wait, Lord Zed says, is it weird his acting debut was on The Cosby Show and Theo died 3 days ago? Hey, okay, you with your numerology, gematria, I mean, come on, we're trying to do a movie review here. But the only reason I say they aren't good, I mean, just the childish humor is kind of hard to pull off when you're in your 40s and 50s. I mean, how old is Sandler now? Because that was one of the issues with Happy Gilmore 2. Also, like, the same kind of humor just doesn't work. I mean, it's just really weird. Like, the fact that he's trying to make it work is I mean, it's just, there's a level of cringe. He's 58, so he's almost 60 years old, trying to do the same childish humor. I mean, it's just kind of weird. It's kind of weird. Like, so the magic of Happy Gilmore 2 is in, obviously, the nostalgia factor. Some of the nods were kind of clever. But a lot of it, my main issue, and I'm not gonna spoil it, but I don't know how much is spoiled in the trailer, so maybe this wouldn't even be spoiling it. But the plot is all over the place, and the movie's all over the place. So it's not, it's not pure garbage. It's not a home run movie. I mean, it's such a mishmash of nods to the original and 90s style movies and humor, while also just, I guess they're trying to appeal to Gen Z, TikTok, brain rot generation. It's weird. Like, the whole final act of the movie is a complete mess that's not even based in reality. Let me put it that way. Whereas in the original movie, I mean, yeah, it's entertainment. Yeah, you have to have a willing suspension of disbelief. But it was still kind of sort of believable. The fact that an enraged hockey player who's not good at skating might actually be able to unleash on a golf ball. And then when you have like a legitimate professional training him for a certain period of time, and he's fairly talented, it kind of sort of works. But when you're dealing with a near 60-year-old man who, according to the plotline, hadn't played golf in 20 years or however, and all of a sudden he kind of picks it up rather quickly. I mean, sort of spoiler, not exactly picks it up kind of quickly. I mean, not exactly. But just the timeline of the original movie versus this movie, I mean, there's just a lot of problems. Yeah, John in the chat saying, saw it last night. It had funny moments, but a lot of the third act was a joke cartoon. Yeah, the final act is a complete mess. Now, I wouldn't say it's a complete total waste of time because, yes, it did have funny moments. Some of the nostalgia nods were cool. Were cool. I can't give it 0 stars. I really can't. But it really was a disappointment in what's the best way to explain this? The way they handled the plot and the characters. It's almost like they made a joke of everything, whereas in the original, it still had, like, there was still a wholesome quality to a guy trying to get his grandmother's house back, and the jokes, even same thing with with Billy Madison, same thing. Like, those older movies, they weren't, let's put it this way, mean-spirited, dark comedy blended in with bright colors, mixing it with bright comedy. I mean, it's almost kind of like some kind of satanic Illuminati infiltration in the movie. Like, the tone is all over the place. I mean, yeah, it has, like, the lighter, good-hearted tone of the original, but it also has some really dark moments, and a lot of the plot is really dark, whereas in the original, yeah, there were, like, 1 or 2 moments kind of sort of like that, but it was still framed within the good nature and positivity that the first movie was about. And it seems like that's all been lost since my delineating years, 2011. If you haven't checked out the 80s and 90s podcast, I just put up a jumbo podcast. I think it's over 5 hours of discussing the 80s and 90s and the fall of Western civilization and entertainment as well. And so that's my year of delineation is 2011. Prior to 2011, there was still good-natured, wholesome movies with positive messages instead of just narcissism indulging Illuminati filth. Now this Happy Gilmore 2 it's a mishmash. It has some of both sides. So I mean, I kind of liked what they did with Shooter McGavin. Again, not going to spoil it, but they could have done even more. And, you know, they kind of went overboard with some of the older characters' kids making appearances. I mean, after the first couple, I mean, it was kind of just some of these repetitive jokes, and some of it was really over the top. And yes, you could argue there were moments in the original were over the top, but I would say it was still within the boundaries of the willing suspension of disbelief for 90s movies, where contextually for Happy Gilmore 2, we're talking so many jump the shark moments. I mean, this is mostly like at certain times it descended into almost nonsensical trash. Now, it had enough good moments that, again, the movie as a whole I wouldn't call nonsensical trash, but it just seemed the property of Happy Gilmore just seemed to be completely mishandled. I mean, I don't know, I'm not 100% sure how this even happened. It's almost like they don't even care, and they wanted to get the most amount of money and capture more of a newer audience. Now, they did have moments where they're kind of making fun of Gen Z as well. So it's not like it was catered. I don't want to say it was catered to Gen Z. It wasn't. But the final act was practically schizophrenic in nature, with just so many jumping the shark moments. Whereas, again, the original was somewhat grounded in reality. Somewhat. In my opinion, they never went firmly outside the line of the willing suspension of disbelief for the audience. Where for Happy Gilmore 2, I mean, many jump the shark moments. So what are everybody else's thoughts here? I mean, if we give the original, what are we going to give the original ratings-wise? I would say if we're going 10 stars, I would actually give the original Happy Gilmore probably 9 stars entertainment value-wise. Not cinematic technical masterpiece, but in entertainment value, I would give it 9 out of 10 stars. Happy Gilmore 2, that's tough. I'd probably go 5 out of 10, and that's being generous. Just because of the final act. And just the way they handled the plot. So he's got a bigger family in this one, and there's really not even a lot of attention to some of his the characters that are his sons. Like, there's really not a lot of attention there. His daughter, there is a lot more, but the movie's almost 2 hours long, so clearly they had the time. it just, again, check out the 80s versus 90s and the decline of Western civilization podcasts I did, because this perfectly illustrates that point. John says, the original guy with the nail in his head was funny because he was so cordial speaking with Shooter, but his son in the new movie was just dumb instead of being funny like his dad. Yeah, they just repeated the gag of all the original characters' children, like being somewhat like their parent, somewhat like their parents, and it was so nonsensical. I mean, there's just no reason for that. I mean, yeah, have one or two callbacks like that, but when there's so many, it's just dumb. I mean, that also kind of, describes Sandler's last decade and a half of films. So, yeah, it's tough. It's really tough. They paid a certain amount of fan service to the original, which was cool. But it just wasn't a great movie. And, the emotional value just wasn't there. In the original, like, the stakes weren't even that high. I mean, it's his grandmother's house. And it just perfectly illustrates movies prior to 2011 and post-2011. Again, that's my line of demarcation when Hollywood just turned to complete trash. And there have been a few exceptions, like Top Gun Maverick, probably the most notable one. So, Top Gun Maverick, that's a quality movie that honors the original and doesn't disgrace itself or move itself outside of the lane of what the intellectual property is. And updated with the times and joking with the times. I mean, that's how you do it. So it's not that I was expecting that from Happy Gilmore 2, but I think it was possible to do something similar to that within the comedic realm. Not necessarily technical cinematic masterpieces, but within the comedic realm, just in terms of pure entertainment value. I think they could have done something similar to that, where you can honor the original, update it for the times, make all the jokes. I think actually if they had taken more of maybe like a Wolf of Wall Street type framework where they kind of showed him throughout the years, like there's a brief intro, the first like 2-3 minutes, and then it kind of just jumps into the modern day. I think the movie could have been a lot more successful and a lot more comedy packed in if they had spent more time. Obviously with all the CG and makeup, they could have made him younger, and they could have shown how he went through his career more throughout the years, in the 90s, the early 2000s. They should have shown more of that. They did extremely briefly, but they should have spent like a decent amount of times on scenes through that. And, a certain character dies, well, more than one actually, but I don't want to spoil it. That has a major effect on the plot. And I don't know if that was the best direction to take it, because not only did that make it kind of dark, I mean, there's a lot of dark moments, like a lot darker than should be. And again, perhaps it's all part of like humiliation ritual. Maybe this is all some kind of Illuminati humiliation ritual for Sandler in Hollywood. Obviously, he's been like a pretty big Hollywood guy for a while. So it wouldn't be surprising if they worked all that in. But yeah, I mean, just the childish level humor with characters, like with older characters, it just doesn't work. And that's why the original was so great, was the contrast of young, immature Sandler and these other golfers. It was just, that's part of the fun, part of the humor was the situationally. But here, it's such a mishmash mess of a film that's all over the place, both in tone and plot. It just doesn't really work well. So it's a mess of a movie with some decent moments and nods to the original. I mean, that's really all there is to say about it. I wanted to just, do a quick review here, because we do talk about the 80s and 90s and, the collapse of the West. Also in entertainment Hollywood context. So it is, it's interesting to discuss and compare and contrast movies. But yeah, maybe I'll do an episode on the new Dexter series. So that's a proper way to do a revival and revisit intellectual property of the past. Now, obviously, it's not the same thing. Obviously, the show ran a lot later. It didn't didn't start and finish in the 90s or anything. But yeah, Dexter would be an interesting example to tackle on how they handle, and obviously that's not a pure comedy or anything. Although some of the dark humor that's true to the original, so that it's not really a departure of tone like Happy Gilmore 2 was in many ways. So it's not like it can't be done right. It has been done right. It just, again, Sandler's just so past it. I mean, Sandler, let me finish this on a positive note for Sandler. Like, I mean, it's not like we should have been able to expect the childish humor. Like, part of the reason it was funny is because a guy in his 20s acting like a 5-year-old can still be funny in the way Sandler did it. Maybe even early 30s. Like, he actually made it work longer than one would think possible. Like, he made it work through what? How old was he? So, in 99, so that would have been... Oh, so he would have been late 20s, early 30s. So he would have been, he was 28, 29 for Happy Gilmore. And so he was already in his early 30s for Waterboy and Big Daddy. So he already kind of milked it longer than one would think possible. Because one of the reasons, anger management was decent as well, because he wasn't that childish, even though some of the humor carried over. Longest Yard was really good because it was kind of like he was a more mature version. He was a screw up, but he wasn't acting like a kid in his 30s. Same thing with Click, Reign Over Me. That kind of worked. Now with I Now Pronounce You Chuck and Larry, 2007, You Don't Mess with the Zohan, onward, I mean, it just doesn't work. Or some would say the movies are funny, but just the movie as a whole, the context of everything, it doesn't work. So when he's going outside of that framework, like, for example, what was the basketball movie he did? What year was that? I thought it was pretty recent. Let me see here. Hustle. So 2022, he did Hustle, where he was a basketball scout, not acting like a child, but still had some humorous moments. That worked. So if he just makes movies like Hustle that are kind of funny, but he's not an adult acting like a 5-year-old, that works. It works in the context of a film. And he can make them even funnier. Because again, Longest Yard was actually pretty funny. But now he's in his 50s, trying to do comedy like he did when he was in his 20s, acting like a 5-year-old. I mean, it's rough. It's rough. Now, again, if you're an audience, if you're a super low IQ individual, you might think that's funny regardless of how old somebody's doing it. So you might think it's funny, and good for you. But, for higher IQ individuals that still appreciate dumb comedies, like, the shtick doesn't work anymore. You gotta pivot. You gotta evolve or change what you're doing. Because I think Sandler's most successful movies were ones where he's not acting like an immature kid as an adult. John said the movie was trying to mix iron with clay and it didn't work. Lord Zed says the basketball movie sucked, bro. You didn't like it? I thought it was pretty decent. It could have been great. I just didn't love the international player plot. I thought it was a pretty solid movie. I mean, obviously it could have been better. It wasn't like a super great movie or anything, but it worked as a movie. I will say that. If we had to rate Hustle, I'd probably have to watch it again. I mean, it's definitely not some kind of 10 out of 10 movie. I'd probably go 7 out of 10 on it. I thought it was pretty decent. I mean, I do remember thinking they could have done more with it. They definitely could have done more with it. It was, the pacing was a little slower. They could have expanded some of the plot and characters a little bit with his family. Yeah, so Lord Zed says that might be too hard. It was good. Could have been great. Yeah, I mean that's yeah. it could have definitely been greater than it was. But it worked as a film, whereas Happy Gilmore 2, like the grown-ups movies, I don't even know if I saw all of them, but it doesn't really work anymore, because you can't be that old with that childish humor. Unless, I mean, if you're appealing to like the really low IQ beer guzzling crowd, I mean, maybe, I mean, I guess they made a certain amount of money. So, yeah, it could have been good. It could have really been good. It could have, Happy Gilmore 2 really, like, the ingredients were there. For the people that said it wouldn't work, remaking the movie in 2025, clearly it's possible. The movie showed it was possible. Even though it was a mess, it had enough decent puzzle pieces to illustrate that it's definitely possible. So, yeah, and I mean, look at Top Gun 2, one of the most, the remake of one of the most 80s movies, and it totally worked. I mean, I'd even dare to say Top Gun Maverick was 10 out of 10. I mean, it's kind of hard to find flaws in that one. And I'm blaspheming here, but I haven't even seen the latest Mission Impossible movie, so I do need to see that. Yeah, the next Hollywood dissection perhaps should be the Dexter series, because it's really interesting what they did with that. There's 4 series now, so 3 revivals from the original, or one prequel and 2 revivals. So, yeah. I mean, that's all we have here. I mean, there's really not much more to discuss here. I don't want to go heavy into spoilers or anything, but the puzzle pieces were there, and it just turned into a mess, because apparently, I mean, what would people say was Sandler's last great comedy film? Not dramedy. I mean, Spanglish was pretty good. I mean, I know a lot of people don't like that movie. I thought it was pretty solid. Again, Adam Sandler at least somewhat departing from his immature shtick. But what was Sandler's last great comedy? I mean, a lot of people think Happy Gilmore was his only one. I mean, yeah. Let's see here. Ridiculous 6, I did not see that. Is that any good? It looks like a complete mess. I mean, it looks so terrible. That was 2015. It just, that looks rough. Could not bring myself to watch it. The Cobbler, I couldn't watch that either. Is that a comedy? Is this a comedy? It's a comedy, drama, fantasy. Top 5? I don't think I've even heard of this. Oh, I don't think he's got a main role in this. Yeah, he doesn't have a main role in that one. Blended 2014. I mean, that looks quite bland. Quite bland indeed. I might have actually seen that. I don't remember anything about it, though. So, yeah, I mean, I'm going to have to go, as pure comedy, I'm going to have to go either Longest Yard 2005. I mean, Anger Management wasn't that bad. 2003 with Jack Nicholson. That was decent. Definitely wouldn't call it great. Mr. Deeds. Okay, a lot of people would say Mr. Deeds. That's tough. It's tough. Mr. Deeds was not horrible, but I'm gonna have to go Big Daddy was really funny. Rico Sauce in the chat saying Happy Gilmore and the one where he went back to school, Billy Madison, were the only movies of his I could sit through. He is not funny. You haven't seen Big Daddy or The Waterboy? If you like pro wrestling and or football, The Waterboy is pretty funny. I'm actually surprised he didn't do more pro wrestling stuff, because The Waterboy was pretty funny. Like, I could totally see him playing some kind of psychotic pro wrestler with that humor. I mean, the time to do it would have been late 90s, early 2000s. Kind of late now, but Welcome, Scott Steiner. Rest in peace, Hulk Hogan. Yeah, I need to do a podcast on the Hulkster. I was actually just talking to somebody about how he seemed to be in good shape pretty recently. Like, I guess when he was talking with Trump, he looked like he was in decent shape. Lord Zed says, I happen to love That's My Boy. Yeah, that was on TV somewhere in the background. I couldn't even turn in that direction. It was so bad. Lord Zed says, I'm a sucker for Vanilla Ice. Vanilla Ice, goat wigger. He's the goat of wiggers, possibly. John Cena was trying to come for that crown, but Vanilla Ice is the goat, probably. Rico Sauce says he's a weirdo. Who, Vanilla Ice or Scott Steiner? Or Adam Sandler? Or Hulk Hogan? Who are you talking about? All right. Rico says, oh yeah, Big Daddy I liked. Have you seen The Longest Yard? That one was really good. Like, those are pretty much, in my opinion, those are the only good Sandler movies. We have, Billy Madison, Happy Gilmore, Waterboy, Big Daddy, Longest Yard. Those, I would say, are his strongest 5 movies that are comedies. He really didn't do a lot of great comedies. Like, a lot of them were really bad, in my opinion. Like, the humor was just so immature and nonsensical, and it just contextually, like, didn't really make sense. Whereas in Billy Madison, like, contextually with the characters and the plot, it made sense. It wasn't like jumping the shark every 2 seconds. Rico says, Waterboy is gay. How dare you? The blasphemy. Lord Zed says, Longest Yard is very, very legit. I'd love to see him reprise that role in the sequel or Waterboy. Maybe he could be a coach. That would actually work. See, that could work. That could definitely work. Because it also wasn't his typical, like, childish humor. It was more like screw-up humor, but he still kind of had a, it was an interesting character. Like, those are the kind of characters he should be playing. Rico says, do you think he's a satanic sellout? I actually don't hate him like the other sellouts. He just isn't funny. He's not that funny. Again, it depends on the context. He can be funny in certain contexts, but yeah, in general, not really. Possibly. Because Jack and Jill definitely had the Illuminati vibes, like him in drag, humiliation ritual, etc. And Happy Gilmore 2 also had some really dark moments that possibly could suggest some kind of Illuminati compromisation. Rico says, Longest Yard, they are so low IQ. I didn't think Longest Yard was low IQ. I mean, some of the humor was because some of the characters are super low IQ criminals, and that's what made it funny contextually, again. Like, the humor in context. Like, for example, they're spiking one of those guys' steroid pills with estrogen, and then his response as such. So, like, it makes sense contextual. It's like all of the humor, like, contextual humor went out the window for Happy Gilmore 2, and it's just all jumping the shark. Lord Zed says, one time I was sad, and my friend told me whenever he is sad, he watches an Adam Sandler movie to cheer him up. I tried it, and it works. Yeah, I mean, again, his earlier movies also had soul. Like, look at it. Look at Billy Madison. Like, look at the good nature within that plot. Adam Sandler trying to help the kids, making them feel better, etc. Like, just the plot was wholesome and good-natured. Just like, and like comeback stories too for screw ups. Like even Happy Gilmore, like he wants to be a hockey player, he can't. Life's curveballs, etc. He makes the best of what he's got. And then look at Happy Gilmore 2, it's just a complete mess in comparison. Same thing with Big Daddy. Again, another screw up could have been, and he just goes through, again, life's curveballs, learning lessons. And they're just wholesome movies in addition to the comedy. Whereas look at the messes later on. I mean, is Jack and Jill wholesome? I don't know. I haven't seen it. Maybe it is, but it looks like Illuminati trash. I mean, I don't remember. I now pronounce you Chuck and Larry or whatever, but I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if that one's wholesome. I mean, they're trying to exploit rules, gay marriage, whatever. Is it kind of like a tongue-in-cheek attack on the institution of gay marriage, or is it promotion, like Illuminati filth promotion? I mean, I don't know. I don't know. That one's a little tougher. I think I saw it when it first came out. I don't remember anything about it, though. Kevin James is kind of decent, though. I don't mind him. John says, I've seen Sandler talk about how good the pizza was at a celebrity house. Was a bit sus. Yeah, he is a bit sus, but he's not, like, firmly in the P. Diddy camp, I would say. He's in the iffy category. Yeah, he's in the iffy sus category. Because potentially, if he's that dumb and immature, maybe it really was his idea to play his own fraternal twin sister. Like, because it's possible he really is that stupid and immature. Like with other actors, you know, you can kind of clearly say this is Illuminati compromisation. So Lord Zed says, Chuck and Larry I saw in the theaters. It was a good time, at least with the lens I saw it through back then. Have you seen it since? Like, that was still early enough on. That was at 07. It potentially could be decent. Potentially, based on the year. I'm not sure I want to revisit it, though. But, like, That's My Boy and, like, all of these other ones, like, I've seen, like, the clips I've seen when it was on TV, like, there's some serious Illuminati propaganda in those movies. Like, Mr. Deeds was actually, like, good-natured as well, for the most part. So, like, a lot of the earlier movies, they were actually good-natured. So, like, I don't know if I would call them Illuminati filth propaganda. Whereas the later comedies, at least, were. But, yeah. Lord Zed says, I'm a sucker for Jessica Biel. wait. Oh, man. Well, maybe we should say who isn't. But has anybody seen The Sinner? Like, her comeback series? I don't know if it was like an official comeback. That one was dark. I mean, talk about dark storytelling. I mean, really well acted, but very dark. Very dark. But yeah, I wasn't going to go super long on this one. I'm going to wrap it up. You know, just, yeah. Happy Gilmore 2. Bit of a disappointment. Not a complete disappointment. Had its moments. Not a complete waste of time. But the final act is a complete mess. Lord Zed says, no, I haven't. I need to catch up on my Jessica Biel's pronto. Yeah, I might have to do a deep dive. Jessica Biel deep dive. From Seventh Heaven to The Sinner. I mean, that kind of arc, I'm not sure anybody's had that kind of arc. I think she did some decent horror movies, too. Rico says, I think some actors just keep their mouth shut and don't go hard on pizza, but they are almost worse for turning a blind eye. It's tough. I mean, Keanu Reeves is a real big question mark on this. Lord Zed says, final ruling is he did enough for us to give him the benefit of the doubt, but a lot of red flags. That's a good way to put it. Rico Sauce making some gender claims on Jessica Biel. Are you sure about that? I don't want to be too crass, but there were certain movies that were quite the contrary, my friend. Quite the contrary. Now, again, that if you're alleging surgeries or whatever, but, you know, on the face, from appearance-wise, I mean, she's had some quite revealing scenes in a few of the movies, so yeah. Okay, we're gonna round this one out. Thanks again, everybody, for joining us for another edition of the MindShock podcast, examining Hollyweird and the latest entertainment. If you want to help support the podcast, you can donate to our PayPal. Check the link in the description. Make sure you're subscribed. Like and share Twitter, Facebook, Reddit, Patreon. This is Bruce McGuire signing off. Catch you guys next time.